Hello and welcome to episode 45 of the Fandom podcast.
Hello.
Um, Seems like a classic intro. It is, to be fair. Um, so we've got no guests on this week. Other than Black Adam and Andor, we didn't really guess anything except for some big news for casting wise, but we'll get to that later on. Josh, how are you doing today?
Not too bad, thanks.
That's good.
How are you?
Keeping up, got a week
Mhm,
off,
mhm.
so finally start to take things a bit slower now, which is good to hear.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. So anyway, let's get into this. Um, so obviously we've been doing the Halloween stuff for the past few weeks, and this week we have Treehouse of Horror. Um, the very first one of The Simpsons, which is, to be exact, season 2, episode 3.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I'll start off, I think. Um,
Yeah, it's fine.
so I mean, I like I've always loved the unique intros of these episodes. Like they change up most intros of all the Simpsons episodes, but this one I do really like this one just because of the fact, well, the Treehouse of Horror ones to be exact, because obviously they have some kind of horror aspect and they're always just kind of fun to see. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so the stories in this one, if you don't know, are the Haunted Mansion, the aliens, and my personal favourite out of all of the Treehouse of Horrors they've done is the Raven.
Okay. Why is it your favourite?
Um, I just like the fact how they portray Homer, and then I think Bart's the Raven, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's just
That's
basically,
quite funny.
yeah, it's just like, it's about 5 to 7 minutes of Homer just screaming about about a raven.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's you know just like something that's such quite a tense book. It's just quite funny to see Homer just screaming about every 5 seconds. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
Um, Also, while watching this, I mean, I haven't watched The Simpsons in ages, but they pull off for something that doesn't have any dark humor whatsoever. The jokes are just especially great. You know, they're still, there's still jokes you can still laugh at, even if they don't have ridiculous dark humor like in other films or TV shows. But this one is just, yeah, it.
Yeah.
That's why it's so good in that matter. That's why it's the best sitcom. So
Yeah. It is still funny.
yeah,
This episode.
um, I think one joke I picked up on was the HBO one, where they said,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
they said they had all the shows, but Bart said, "Do you have HBO?" And said that the alien said that costs extra. So yeah, um,
Yeah.
I don't know. It may just be me who finds that funny, but
No.
Simpsons.
No. It's always funny when they like reference
Yeah,
big companies in the real world and real world issues. It's the same with other shows.
yeah,
Like Rick and Morty, for example, when they like reference that they are actually in a TV show. Just so clever and funny.
mm. Um. So, what are your thoughts on this episode then?
I thought it was decent. I wouldn't say it's probably the best Simpsons episode I've seen. Um, I, I've been a huge fan of The Simpsons, but obviously Treehouse of Horror is iconic. Um, and yeah, it's quite enjoyable. Really, it's just a few stories. As you said about Homer and stuff and Halloween. Um, it, it made me laugh a few times. My favourite was probably the one with the aliens. I thought that was, like I say, it was quite clever, the humour in it, and I thought it was the funniest, probably that one. And yeah, The Simpsons is just an iconic show, so it's always fun to watch, really.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, it's just fun Halloween stories, really. You can sit back and watch. So yeah.
I mean, You picked up. It's not your favorite Simpsons episode. Do you mean you're not favorite like? Is this not your favorite Treehouse of Horror, or just not your favorite Simpsons episode at all?
Well, I've not really seen many Simpsons things, but I wouldn't say it's like my favourite out of what I've seen. It's still good. It's still like an enjoyable episode.
But Treehouse of Horror wise, what would you say?
But it probably is one of the best Treehouse of Horrors.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's not really much I can actually think. I mean, other than it in the first 10 seasons, there's nothing that can really top it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. So that's about it for Treehouse of Horror 1. I mean, they do it in Roman numerals, and they didn't do a Treehouse of Horror for the first season, so that's why. Yeah, well, they're always in Roman numerals, so I guess you can say like Treehouse of Horror, and then if you don't know, it's like an I for 1.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Josh, what is your episode rating of Treehouse of Horror 1?
I've gone for an 8 out of 10.
Okay, I've gone for a 9.25 out of 10.
What?
You've done
Oddly specific.
well, you've done a 2.5, like yeah, I've ended it with a 2.5. No, like
Uh-huh.
yeah, 0.25 before. You've done it once. You've given like a
I think I did
7.25.
once,
Yeah.
purely because it was a bit. I was very mixed. 9.25.
Yeah,
Okay.
what film or show it was, I can't remember. Um,
Yeah, I can't fully remember what I was on about at the time. It was a little while ago now, I think, wasn't it?
yeah, well, must have been in the last 10 weeks, otherwise my memory wouldn't date back to that long, but um, I don't know, to be honest. It
Yeah,
might have been
I can't think what it was, but
yeah, it
I'm
definitely
trying to
wasn't,
look back and I can't realise.
yeah, it definitely was an episode of a series. Um,
Oh
it
no,
was,
it was a film.
yeah, films we've seen recently.
I don't remember it being that recent. That's the thing. I remember it being.
Yeah,
I'm looking through the episode here. I can't think what it was.
uh,
Anyway,
might have been, it was either Lightyear or Jurassic World Dominion.
Jurassic World. I think I gave an 8, which is a bit high looking back now.
Yeah. Elvis?
No, it wasn't Elvis. It was before Elvis. Anyway, I can't think.
Anyway, we'll leave it at that. If we figure it out somehow, then we'll get back to that later on. Okay, then next up is Andor, which Josh still hasn't caught up on. So
No, no.
yeah, down to me this week. So this episode was still good. I'd definitely say, but it was a bit slower. Not in the sense that the development of the episode was slow, but just the fact that I think we just come off one of the best bits of Star Wars I've personally seen of episode 6, and this one just kind of brought things down a level, as in just kept calmed it down a bit. So it was, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was still good, but it just they kept it to a minimum. Um, so we get to see an update on everyone's lives as Cyril, the ex-police officer of Mortan. It was like Mortana 1 or something like that. I can't remember. Um, it was, yeah, he's working now in an office job, which I think is for the Empire, where he works like different kind of jobs for people. He like it works in a specific part, and I guess I think he keeps track of like criminal records. I think. I mean, it's something like that. Um, yeah, I can't really explain it too well, but um, yeah, but we do also see that there could be some kind of importance to this, as his criminal record is wiped by the employer. So yeah,
Yeah.
um, I there's been a couple of theories going about that maybe you make some kind of connections through this job that maybe an imperial offer comes along, or maybe he gets a promotion and all of a sudden he starts meeting a couple of people, and that's how he may either join the rebels or join the um or join getting a bigger part of the empire. So I think Cyril's one of the more interesting characters we've seen out of the show. I think it's just quite, we don't really know what his intentions are. He doesn't want to work. He doesn't seem like he's a massive empire advocate. Like he doesn't support the empire with full intention, but he also doesn't. He also believes in law and order. So maybe he could see, maybe you could see how wrong the empire are and realize that, oh yeah, you know if there's one way I want to enforce law and order, this is it, the rebels. So yeah, I I don't know where he'll lead, but currently he's working out to be one of my favorite characters. Um, Cassian, on the other hand, so he escapes back to Ferrix to meet up with um his it's like a his mum, or his where his I don't know. Let's just say mum. I mean, he was adopted technically, but yeah. Um, his mum was. His mum describes how all of a sudden, she doesn't want to leave because now, she sees how a rebel movement is starting now in Ferrix. The people are starting to take an uprise on this, as she describes how she saw Clem, who is the nickname that Cassian took on, is actually his father figure, Clem, and he was hanged in the streets a couple of years after the foundation of the empire. So why he was hanged, we don't know. It could be that some separatists in the comics and stuff they were just sick of the Republic in the end, and so they left because they thought, oh yeah, they joined the separatist movement because they thought, oh, this could come of something here. We could actually gain something better than we would have done in the Republic. So um yeah, that's why as we see Clem and Cassian's mum are part of the separatists. Um and so now they see, now she sees like a rebel movement going on, and it wants to make her stay. And I think maybe we might get some kind of finale where Ferrix will be like the first major point other than the garrison that is hit by a rebel movement, and they eventually take over, and there's probably some kind of huge setback for the Imperial for the Imperials. Um Cassian then later on, we see at the end of the episode, he's probably gone to, I can't remember the planet's net yeah, the planet's name, but it's basically like the Miami of Star Wars. You can just imagine like big beach, always sunny, that kind of thing. Um, and he ends up in jail because, as we see, where it looks like he's been caught in some rebel movement, like some kind of people running away, but he isn't. He's just casually walking by, but he doesn't want to have his face seen because of the fact, the Empire is still looking for him from the garrison. So he ends up in jail, and I think one theory that I've seen would be quite interesting is he maybe breaks out through recoding, or recoding an Imperial Pro droid. No, not Imperial Pro droid, an Imperial droid, like the one that K2SO is, as we do see that in this episode. So maybe this could be a K2SO origin story. Who knows? Cinta, who is one of the six, was it six? I don't know. It was one of the people part of the Aldani robbery, is still on Aldani, like Aldani, and she sees, um, we see a massive Star Destroyer go up ahead, which is such a cool scene. The CGI, I will say, like the effects and stuff, they have done a good job with it in this episode. Well, no, in this series for that matter, the eye they did a great job of. And yeah, it's just cool to. It's good to see that. I believe she may have some kind of help. Like they might get the Empire might trick her into they might interrogate her into guessing location of Cassian, which by then probably Cassian's um, out of jail, and that's when they probably meet up with Saw Gerrera, and maybe there's some kind of fight then. Who knows? That could be another finale. Have another finale idea or pathway. Um, and finally Vel, who is like he was like the leader of the Aldani heist, set to hunt Cassian. So we've got a lot of we've got lots of different routes we can take now. As um, Luthen's assistant came to Vel, saying that Cassian can't have Luthen inside his head. So it looks like we'll have Vel trying to track down Cassian in the next episode. So yeah, that is quite an eventful episode, and lastly, which I think was the highlight of this episode, I will say, is Mon Mothma's party, where she meets up with a childhood friend who is a banker, and we get to see her describe the rebel movement. Yeah, the rebel movement, without actually saying rebel movement. So she describes it how it's such a good scene. That's the thing where she talks about how you may find my politics a bit too strong for my taste, and she goes on about how I'm just meant to be an irritation in the Senate, and so I shouldn't be a bit deep inside. I'm starting this huge rebel movement where you know do you want to be a part of it or not? So yeah, it's definitely good to see. It just shows how it's just good to see. It really is like Mon Mothma, the actor for her so far in the series, is great. She is also the voice actor for her in Rebels and potentially the Clone Wars, but I have to check up on that. Um, but yeah, it just shows how how dangerous this operation is, and how all of a sudden she's starting to that she is the biggest member of it, of getting involved. So yeah, so that's about it for Andor this week. I've gone ahead and given it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Um,
Sounds decent, man.
yeah, I mean, there's been no weak episodes of Andor so far. Maybe, maybe on the stretch of one in the first 5 episodes, you could say that maybe one of them was just a bit boring or something like that. But I really think this series has been going strong, and it's definitely going up there with some of the big shows of this year. All right then. So next up is Black Adam. Josh, would you like to start off?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this film's been getting quite a few bad reviews, to be fair, from critics. I mean, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's only on like 40% or something. I actually enjoyed the film. It only wasn't perfect. There were things about it that could have been improved. But I find it's just been a very enjoyable, action-packed superhero film, really. I say action-packed because I mean it was pretty much action from start to finish. This film, to be fair, which I quite liked. I quite liked the feeling of all the action scenes constantly. And it kind of felt like an earlier superhero film, like one from maybe like late 90s, early 2000s. Which, I mean, again, I quite liked that feeling to it. It didn't feel like it had to be this huge superhero film that follows the same structure as all the other like Marvel films and everything that like are made nowadays. Yeah, I find it to be a really enjoyable film overall. So, like I said, there were some negatives. I found some of the CGI was a bit Um, Not great at times, especially with Sabak towards the end, the main villain. I thought it would just he looked a bit more like a video game character. I thought at times, rather than like a live action character. Um, I mean, I don't really mind bad CGI as much when the film's good. Um, there are a couple of weird things about the film. I'm not sure. I can't quite put my finger on what's up with the film. Really, it was just something that didn't. I think overall it just wasn't as good as like other films. It's it's a solid film, but it's just not as good overall, just in general, as other superhero films we've seen. Um, but yeah, I mean, the actors were great. It was cool to see the Justice Society, with obviously Doctor Fate, Hawkman, Atom Smasher, and Cyclone. I thought they were all really good characters. I thought The Rock did a really good job as Black Adam. Had some decent plot twists throughout that were quite unexpected. Yeah, I mean, I liked just the fact it was kind of an ancient. It had this ancient lore tied into it all, which obviously is where Black Adam came from to begin with. Yeah, that was quite cool as well. I was going to say something else. I've lost what I was going to say now, but yeah, what were your thoughts?
Going back on some points you made, the disappointments. I feel like it needs to be said. Uh, I was disappointed that Doctor Fate was only a one film thing. I mean, Pierce Brosnan, I thought it was great at this role, and just to only have him for one film, a character like Doctor Fate, just not great in my opinion. Um, that's something unless he didn't want to return for the role, that's I guess that's fine. But with a character, with an actor like him and a character like Doctor Fate, you don't want to go ahead and use that just for one film. That's the thing. Um, yeah, I'd argue that how they use the crown, they never really explained the crown. They always just left it till the end, and then Savak came along unexpectedly, um, but in not a great way either. He just kind of just came in without context. We only literally just figured out about the crown. They should have explained the crown and how it works and stuff like that, or at least just given anything about it. But they're always hinting about explaining it, like Doctor Fate talking about, oh, you have the crown, but they only leave it till the end when all of a sudden everything goes wrong.
I mean, we did kind of see the crown because in the bit at the start where they were looking at like the past and like the origins, to sort of kind of set up the story, that kind of explained where the crown came from.
Yeah, but I mean, they never really
I get what you
explained
mean.
it.
It didn't. They never really explained what the crown actually did. But I mean, I guess we could assume throughout the film what sort of things would happen.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just something,
I can see what you mean.
yeah, even if it's just something small about the crown, but I think that's where that film kind of falls off for me. Just um the bad development, I guess you could say. Um, However, other than that, I thought this film genuinely was great. Great action all around. Uh, Dwayne Johnson nailed the role as Black Adam. I'm excited to see him return in future. And who else do we have? I was going to make one, but yeah. And it was great to see Amanda Waller and a cool cameo from Harcourt from Peacemaker, which everyone knows how I love that show. So yeah, that's great. Post credit scene. Skip ahead like a solid 3 minutes or something if you don't want to if you don't want to be spoiled. Josh, what are your thoughts on the post-credit scene? Because I've seen some kind of explanation towards it,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
it may be bigger than you may think.
I've never really been a huge DC fan, so I mean, things like this where they bring Superman into the mix, I get how it's cool and stuff, but because I'm not a huge DC fan, it doesn't really get me like very excited for what's happening. But I mean, I respect for DC because they're trying to build this world up, and throughout this film you could see like the links to Shazam, for example, with the same guy from the Council of Wizards, um, and how they link back to Shazam, the film. And obviously the fact that he is literally linked to Shazam because that's the word he uses to turn into the Black Adam. And so you can see throughout the film and the hints, like I say, with Amanda Waller and Harcourt, you can see the links to the rest of the universe, and this kind of just links it back even more with obviously arguably the biggest DC character, Superman, coming in. And yeah, it really sets up the future really for the DC universe. It shows that these two characters who could be two of the most powerful characters in the universe are gonna go up against each other somehow. I feel like it's good that we've seen more development of Black Adam, like the setup to the character of Black Adam this time. So obviously we've had Batman versus Superman, and that was our first introduction to that version of Batman. So that kind of was them setting up the character of Batman, whereas this time they've set up Black Adam already, so they don't really need to set up the characters as much in that film, or however they portray this battle between them. So yeah, they can really focus on this fight between the two characters. Yeah, I mean, should be cool to see. I've seen that it could be multiple films that it spreads across, which I mean, it could be decent if they pull it off and they do it right. I'm not sure how they would spread that against multiple films, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it should be interesting to watch.
Yeah. So, what I picked up from this is, yeah, they're definitely making Black Adam the most powerful in the DC universe. I think that's fair enough. They're trying to turn him into this really important character. And I saw a theory video that it could be Amanda Waller may maybe get tired. He may, she may like start a villain group with people that may agree with her cause. She may lie about something and come up with it. Come up with something to get villains on her side, and there could be an all-out war between heroes and villains, or not even heroes at the end of the day. It could just be people picking sides, and I think that'd be good to see. I mean, there could be like conversations between like um the Riddler. No, we haven't got the Riddler in the DCU yet. But there could be conversations between like Peacemaker and Aquaman. Like um we get to see Peacemaker for like throw a few insults at him, which would be in a film. I don't know whether they can get away with it, but it'd be very good to see. And yeah, I just think that they can do. DC haven't got as much pressure of them as Marvel does. So whatever they do,
Yeah,
I'll go watch it, and we'll just see how it is. That's the thing. I mean, it could be a wonder film. Like, it could be absolutely wonderful. It could just be some of the best thing I've ever watched, or it could just turn out to be um the Justice League, which in my opinion I couldn't even last 20 minutes of. So yeah, Josh, what is your rating for Black Adam then?
overall, I think it was a good film. It just had a couple of flaws. What I was going to say earlier as well, just quickly, the villain of the film, I don't think he was developed quite enough, and he was one of those villains that like he's just not got as much depth to him overall. But overall, I enjoyed it. I'm giving it 8 out of 10.
I've gone for a 7.5 out of 10. There's probably a few films I've rated wrongly this year. One of them being Secrets of Dumbledore, of course. But yeah, I need to. If I could change a couple of things, I would. So yeah, next up we have our top 3 like merchandise. I mean, we always do this at one point. We always just show off stuff we have because me and Josh, quite frankly, own some very good stuff.
It's Josh, not really our top 3 anymore.
No, it's not really. I mean,
we've done it a few times now.
Yeah, we do them in random order and just hope for the best. Josh, would you like to start off in number 3? Well, it's not even number 3. Just name off your first item, I guess.
Yeah, so the first one I've gone for is the Chewbacca Funko Pop. It's Chewbacca Star Wars Celebration, like special Funko Pop. It's just very nice. I mean, Chewbacca's an iconic Star Wars character, and he really is probably one of my favourite Star Wars characters. This pop it looks very nice. The detail on like is it hair? You'd call it, I guess.
Fur.
Yeah, hair, fur, whatever. But yeah, the details really good. It looks really nice. It's obviously Star Wars Celebration, so it's probably quite a limited edition one. And it's on like a shiny silver stand, which I mean, it's quite nice because I know all Star Wars ones go on like a stand, but this one's like shiny, which is quite nice. And the box the box it came in is quite nice as well. It's like a all black box. It's not got the usual like gloss on it that you'd get on a Funko Pop box. And it's like black and it's got silver embossing around it, which is very nice. So yeah, it's a very nice pop. So yeah.
I wanted to pick up one of them in that range. I wanted to pick up the Stormtrooper. However, I had no money at the time, so yeah, I think that's moved on now as well.
Alright, so it's all gone now.
Yeah, my first item is the Moon Knight Blade. Don't even have to show a picture of it, to be honest. The Moon Knight Blade, obviously from Moon Knight. I mean, where else would it be from? I got this on the
from the Fandom podcast Bam Geek Box opening that you did.
Yeah. Go watch that. You know, it was got some decent stuff out of there, and I was tempted to add one of the things that you may see back there. That's where my thumb is. Yeah, you know, I was tempted to add that to this list, but we got the Moon Knight's Blade on this week. A couple people I know that, you know, a few of my friends, they've said they really like this one. Probably know who you are. If you're actually watching or not, I don't know. It doesn't have to have that much detail to it. It's just like a shaped thing, but you know how much they use it in the show and how important it is to Moon Knight's character. I think it's such a cool thing to have, and I don't really have any of other prop replicas. Well, I don't have any others, so to have this up in my room, I think it's something quite cool. Yeah, Josh, your second item.
My second item is one I bought quite recently. Actually, it's the Silmarillion, which is the book. I mean, it's not really merchandise or anything, is it? Really, but
I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, would you argue an autograph as merchandise? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, kind of.
Like we said,
I mean, this is kind of more what the films and stuff are based off of.
It's anything that's really an item, like we said. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting book. It outlines what happens in the first and second ages of Middle Earth, and the Lord of the Rings universe. This edition I've got in particular, it's got like a really nice cover with some nice artwork on it. I mean, yeah, it's just, especially since Rings of Power, I've been quite into Lord of the Rings stuff. I'm gonna probably rewatch the films this week, the original films. But yeah, it is a cool book. It has a bunch of stories from the first and second ages, and yeah, I mean, it looks nice as well.
Okay, yeah. Next up for me is I'll show a picture of it because there's no way I'm carrying this about. I don't want to move this. Um, I'd assume it's like a 3 feet. I think it's 3 feet. It's a three
What on
feet.
earth is this gonna be?
The figure of Batman.
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot you even had that.
You know what? Screw it. Let's just take a pic. I'll quickly show everyone how this is massive. By the way, like I can't fit this on any shelf because it just doesn't fit. I was given this by my cousin, who you probably know has been on the podcast a couple times. Absolutely massive. I mean, hold on a second, I'm gonna have to move back for this one. Oh, yeah, here it is. I mean, it doesn't even have to have that much detail on it, but it's just such an imposing thing in the middle of your room. It's so fun to have. That's the thing. The cape on the back. That's it's absolutely massive. The arms. They've done all the armor correctly. The head moves slightly. If you like, it's better to genuinely just see this. I mean, it's so big. It's absolutely amazing to have. It's such a cool item. So yeah, that's I think 3 feet tall Batman. Yeah. Oh
I
no.
can't believe you have that, man.
That may top in. Oh my lord. Yes, I'm struggling to fit it in now. That may
You're
top.
right there.
That may top one of the best things we've had so far in the
Oh yeah.
in all of these merchandise things. Yeah, there we go. I think I've sorted that out. Yeah, 3 feet Batman, everyone. Josh, what is your last item that you'd like to show off?
My last item is the Thor Goat Boat Funko Pop or Pop Lights. I mean, it's very nice. It's a bigger Funko Pop, obviously, because it's a Pop Ride, so it just fits on my shelf. It's got this like lovely rainbow. It's like a rainbow bridge or the Bifrost. That's it. Isn't it? It's got the Bifrost underneath them. It's got the goats at the front, which I mean were just the best part of that film probably. The like the character of Thor itself is very nice. The detail on his armor and he just looks cool. And what I like about this as well is the way they've made it look like they're actually travelling on the Bifrost. So they've got like the sparks coming up where the goats are like putting their hooves down, and sparks where the boat is. And then on Thor, his cape's like blowing in the wind almost.
You described as well how
so
you
yeah,
wanted it. You wanted to get another pop for it.
Yeah. So I've seen a video actually somewhere where it had enough space on it where you can fit like another Funko Pop on the boat. So if I can get another like Thor pop figure at some point, I could always fit on the boat. That'd be quite cool. But yeah, I mean it's a very cool pop. It's very nice. So yeah.
All right then. My last item is a vigilante Funko Pop, which I won't bring down, but
Yeah.
I think I've described in my Funko Pop ranking video. I get it for a decent price. It was one of the, I think out of all the, it was one that me and you were definitely looking for. I mean, you now own this one. Am I correct in saying?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's like one that I think I was always happy to have. I mean, when I first saw the Peacemaker range, I thought, oh yeah, this one I've got to go for because it's Vigilante himself in the show is just so amazing. His chemistry with Peacemaker is just unmatchable, and that's why I love that show. And I realised as soon as I saw the pop, I have to get it. So, yeah, that's Vigilante from Peacemaker, my Vigilante Funko Pop.
Yeah, yeah, it is quite a nice pop,
Yeah.
I've got to say. It is a nice one, and he's a cool character as well. Peacemaker's a great show.
Yeah. All right then. Um, Josh. After getting some lit. What? I mean, I'll start off with the biggest point we got off this week. Sacha Baron Cohen, also the guy who plays Borat, has been casted as Mephisto in Ironheart, which, first of all, I don't think anyone saw this casting coming. Second of all, I don't think anyone expected Mephisto to be in Ironheart.
I mean, Mephisto's not even going to be the main villain of Ironheart, though, because we know that the main villain's going to be the Hood. I don't know how Mephisto's fitting into that show. I don't know why they've cast Sacha Baron Cohen. I can't see it being a serious role if they cast Sacha Baron Cohen. I can imagine there's lots of comedy. And yeah, it's all just a bit random, that one, really.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I will say I don't really want Mephisto to be comedic. You know, they turned Hulk into a comedic character. Look where that look where that brought him. You know, so I think
That's not been the best, has
yeah,
it?
I think it's about time they stay away from the comedy. You know, it's about time uh, unless he unless he's playing it seriously, who knows, but you know, just for the love of God, stay away from doing some awful jokes or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Or just stay away from using the word bruh. Alright, I don't care anymore. Just stay away from that word.
I think that's why as well when we were talking about Black Adam earlier. I think that's why DC could actually be successful because Marvel are going for quantity over quality. They're trying to shove out as much content as possible. They're putting all sorts of different genres in for different age groups, which then some genres work, like with WandaVision and like with Loki. But at the same time, things like Miss Marvel and She-Hulk, it's just not being too targeted at a new audience and not targeted enough at the original audience that are going to be actually like caring about this project as well.
Yeah, I'll argue with you there. I think Marvel's basically like a popularity show at this point. You know, all of a sudden, oh, it's a massive thing. Oh, like, anyone's got connections to Kevin Feige. Oh, we're getting all the big actors. You know, and they're trying to please everybody. You know, they'll try and please, woman with She Hulk. They'll try and please I like that kind of community
Do
with
you
like.
think that they shouldn't please women?
Well, no, I'm not saying that, but hey, don't say that, Josh, because we don't want to get this cancelled. No, but I'm just saying they're trying to figure out. They're trying to please all aspects now. You know, whether that be the smallest communities or the biggest ones, and eventually, at the end of the day, everyone just wants to see classic Marvel. I think, or at least the true
Yeah.
fans. You know, the ones that they have to stay, the ones that they should stay loyal to. You know, because like me personally, I'll watch anything that Marvel throws out there. Even if it's She-Hulk,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
was the worst Marvel project to ever come out, like even worse than Iron Man 2, and that's saying something. Um, but yeah, It's at the end of the day, that's why I prefer DC, because DC will stick to what the fans want. You know, you want Black Adam, we'll give you Black Adam. If you want Henry Cavill back as Superman, we'll give you Henry Cavill back as Superman. You know, they don't.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not.
think DC are just focusing on how to build their universe still,
Yeah,
and I think they're managing to get lots of it right somehow. And even like they don't even have to please their fans all the time. Like say they get Black Adam and Henry Cavill back, but at the same time, no one asked for a new Suicide Squad film, and they did that.
yeah, and
And
all
then
the
no one really asked for a Peacemaker show, and they did that. And yet they're still like they are still great projects.
yeah, they knocked it out of the park. You know, it's been better than anything Marvel has released. Like the only thing that's really compared to um well, to Suicide Squad last year was Spider-Man No Way Home, and even that they had to bring back Toby and Andrew for, and
Yeah,
all the other
yeah,
Spider-Man villains. But it's just disappointing, I think, to see the way Marvel is going. Like as soon as we hit into um phase 5, like proper phase 5 with Ant-Man and stuff like that, all of a sudden then it starts to get a little bit better. But I think we got news recently that Kim Kardashian wants to be in the MCU. She-Hulk was basically just, you know, they chucked a couple of celebrity cameos in there. At the end, people think that Marvel may as well just be a popularity contest. It's just, yeah, but that's why I preferred.
yeah. I think just some of the choices Marvel have made recently haven't been the best. Um, and yeah, they've brought out some very questionable stuff. Um, and they're just going for like full on comedy rather than just making good content like that'll actually be really cool. They're focusing on trying to bring out loads of content all the time instead.
Yeah, the only solid thing I've seen from Marvel this year is Werewolf by Night. Because all of a sudden they change everything up. We don't have to fall back on, oh, let's get some kind of popularity thing going in. Now, we just, you know, we'll give them some cool characters, Man Thing and Werewolf by Night. We'll give them a good storyline, and we'll just give them a new side of the MCU. That's what people ask for at the end of the day, so that's why it's so good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll say I enjoyed Multiverse of Madness as well, and that even if you didn't enjoy that, that wasn't like throwing in a bunch of random stuff either.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I didn't really enjoy that, but anyway, I think we have to call it there because I've still got to upload this video tonight. Um, Next week we have Andor episode 8. Uh,
Yeah, if I manage to catch up
yeah. Well,
in this week.
I'll still review it anyway, but
Yeah, yeah,
um, and it'll also be the last week of our Halloween run of films
yeah.
and shows. So, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
All right.